Hi everyone, welcome to Get Ready with me, Louise. I'm excited to be here again. It's probably going to be a little while between this video and the next, as all of them are lately, but I wanted to get these up and I kind of just, there's two, but I picked the one that I like the best, but know that they're both, they're the same, but different color waves. So to me, whichever one you prefer, I think you're going to enjoy. So the palettes that I'm talking about are the Naked Shaped palettes by Urban Decay. They just launched them. They came into store, and I will say they're pretty. They are pretty. So here they are. You have the cool one and the warm one. That's basically the names of them. Cool and warm. The packaging looks like this, and then cool and warm. That's how they're described. We're going to go with it, okay? So I will say I like the packaging. It's their harder packaging, and you open it by sliding it. This, of course, is the one we're playing with, the cool tones, because you know I've just been in love with cool tones lately. But I am wanting to play with the warms too. I will say I kind of think I like the warm palette, and I don't generally like warm palettes, at least not of lately. Even though I think warm would probably be better leaning towards me, to be fair. But let's just play with the cool palette and let's talk about it. So, are we back to basics? Oh, yes, we're back to basics. And here they are saying they're going to be the change. Maybe they are. You know, maybe this is their basics and then they're going to come out with colors. I don't know. I am curious about it though. But I will say, as far as this goes, I really like it, and I'm surprised but not surprised. When I saw it, I knew I liked the color stories, and it's about where I'm at right now. To be fair, I'm basic. I don't have time really. Now when I want to play, absolutely I'm grabbing for my glam light palettes, or you know, color pop stuff like that, but every day, like, I'm grabbing for a neutral palette, you know. If I'm going to be honest, I need to be honest about that. Does color still catch my eye? Yeah. Will I still buy it? Yeah. But what am I using? Basics. So with that said, let's go over what's on my face. For foundation today, I am wearing the Lancome. You know, I've been loving this. I've also been loving the Milk makeup, but I finally figured out the difference. The Milk makeup is a little bit thicker of a foundation, and it does give you a little bit better coverage, but this is thinner and it just feels light on the face, you know what I mean? And then for the concealer, I'm wearing my Natasha Denona's concealer. I set the under eyes with what? What did I grab today? I set the rest of my face with my Natasha Denona foundation powder. But what did I set my under eyes with? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm losing it. Oh, I know. I set it with the Glam Light. I was trying this again. The Bacon Set Translucent Powder. I think that this is actually better for the rest of my face, not under the eyes. Under the eyes, I think it's too heavy, to be fair. Just in my opinion. But I do think it's a little bit too heavy for under my eyes. Probably because I'm a little bit older. Just a little bit. Or maybe a lot. Who am I kidding? And I guess you can probably guess what I'm wearing for blush and bronzer and highlighter. You know I've been in love with these. But I'm wearing the Sculpt and Glow in Sanatorium Sun. I don't know. Y'all, me with pronunciations, no. I can't do it. I can't do it. But I just love these. This one here, I think I've been wearing a little more than this one, the California Sunlight. But either one, great. And they actually, have I tried this one yet? Maybe. I think I did. I think I did try this one. This one's the light to warm, but you can get the bronzers in single if you wanted to. But to be fair, I think there's a good amount of bronzer, blush, and definitely highlighter in those palettes to where you can use them evenly. But if you were to go through the bronzer, you can purchase, you know, on the side. And that is what is on my face. Oh, lip liner. I am wearing Urban Decay lip liner in Liar. And then right in the middle, I really outlined the lips, but I put a little bit of the Lip IV in the shade. I don't know what the shade is. Oh, Blush Rush. Just so that it would last a little longer, because I do have to go to work. So, but let's get started with this. So in the middle here, these are all creams in this circle. And I want to say it's not cream to powder. It's not, but it's a thinner cream. Like, it does cover. I think this is good to cover with, like, your eyelid if there's discoloration. Because, like, that's what I did before filming. I shouldn't have, I know. But I did lay down this cream here. What brush did I use? I picked it up. Oh, I used this brush here. So I just used the brush like this. This is Real Techniques 107 brush. And I picked it up and I just laid it down, you know, to cover up the discoloration. And then I used this you know, to set it. Yeah, there's the word I'm looking for. But I do like the fact that they've got a coordinating color in powder form, so you can set the creams if you wanted to. You do not have to, because as you'll see, I use this brown here in a minute to use as a liner, and I actually like it. And I think that this looks very pretty. Now, the lid's not coming off as shiny as it is in, like, real life, but it's also not overkill. It's very just subtle every day. I think the big question I feel everybody's going to have is the money. Is it worth the money? Because it's Urban Decay. So there's, you know, I believe it was $50 some. I'm sorry, y'all. Not. I lurk it all just so I do get a discount. But with that said, would I purchase it for the full amount? Probably not. I'm not gonna lie. I would wait for a discount. I would. Whether it be my own because I work there, or if it went on sale, or if you had a 20% off coupon, like, I would get it with a discount. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't purchase it at full price. But I wouldn't purchase anything at full price, with the exception of Natasha and Pat, of course. Maybe even a little bit of Charlotte here and there, depending on what it is. But, you know. So the first shade we're going to go into is this one right here. And on the back, it does list... Okay, they do have shade names. And it actually does list, like, what it is. Whether it be a matte, a cream, a shimmer, a glimmer. So that is nice. I don't know. There's just... Is it basic? Yeah. And like I said, if I'm being honest, that's where I'm at nowadays. Because I just don't have the time to play. So I do need something that's pretty quick and easy to use. Not going to cause me, you know, like a headache to try to make a look. But at the same time, something I'm going to enjoy. And I will say I did enjoy this. And I think that look really turned out nice. And I'm not, like, not just my eyes, but like my whole makeup look turned out nice today, I feel. I'm going to take that same shade and just tap it along the lower lash line. Sort of stamp it in, and then I'll blend it out. But like I said, I do like, it's different, so I like it. Has the powder gotten into the cream yet? No, not yet. But it's my first time using it. So I don't think, you know, it's going to do that right off the bat. Can it? Maybe. I kind of think they probably should have put some sort of, like, flip, like a lid or something over these creams, just so they also don't dry out, because the whole time you have this open, you do risk the possibility of it drying out. Would I use all these creams? I don't know. Obviously, the one shade I would, the lighter shade, because it does cover like my skin tone. The two darker shades I could see me using for a liner. I don't know if I'd actually like use the cream as like an intended shadow. You know what I mean? Maybe. Like I would have to play with it a little more, see how much I really do get use out of it type of thing. So who really knows? I might. We're going to go into this shade now. And I'm going to pick it up. And we're just going to darken the outer corner. And take it up into the crease. I will say the shades blend beautifully into one another. I had no problem with them at all. They built on top of themselves nicely. I do, like I said, I do think it is a little different, but, you know. I mean, I guess it's not so different because you do have like Patrick Ta, who gave us 2 cream shades. I guess they're giving us 4. I feel like a cream to powder would have been a better fit almost, to be fair. But I do like that they give the powdered shade to set the cream down. As already said, I'm just repeating myself. I mean, there is only so much I can tell you about the palette before repeating myself, because it is just a basic palette. But if we're honest, like I'm trying to be here, chances are that's the kind of palette you're using on a daily basis, for the most part. I'm not saying that maybe, and maybe you're not. Maybe you are going with colorful looks. I would. I would go with a matching color for my shirts every day. You know I would. If I had the time. Because color, we're going to pick up this shade right here and we're going to put it on the lid. But color takes up a lot of my time because I'm so, you know, I don't want to say I'm still scared of it, but I am scared of making a mistake and having to start over and that sort of stuff, and I am going to work. So I feel like I have to be somewhat presentable, you know. But you can see this is a, I will say compared to previous palettes by them, just Urban Decay in general, this is a good formula. I like this a lot. It's almost, I mean, I think it's better than the Honey palette as far as formula wise, in my opinion. We're going to take this shade right here and I'm going to pick it up and I'm just going to pat that on the inner corner. And I also could see this shade being good if you wanted to just tap it in the middle of the lid to get a little extra oomph. But I was kind of just going with a subtle look today. Alright, now we're going to take this cream. So you will see a cream in action. This one right here. And we're going to line the top lash line and the bottom lash line. And I will say that it's pretty pigmented. And again, you can build on this also. And it does go across the, like the powdered shades nicely. And I'm just sort of like stamping and wiggling it in. And of course you all know this is my favorite lining brush. And like I said, you can definitely build up the color or blend it out, however you see fit to do. I'm trying to get it to the same depth as the other eye. I do think these could be day to night also. Palettes, like if you wanted it toned down like this look, sure. Or you definitely could go deeper and darker, especially with like the creams and the adjacent powders if you're brave enough. I'm not brave enough to do that, to go really dark and smoky. But if you are, I do think that this will be able to do that. I can't really talk about, like, do I think it would work for deeper skin tones or anything like that. I wish I could. But, you know, I don't want to give that kind of opinion. I can say that it does show up on me. And I feel like that darkest shade would show up on a good bit of people, right? Let me put my finger in it. My little grimy finger. That's pretty dark, right? I mean, it's not that dark, don't get me wrong, but it is pretty dark. And then, hopefully you can see. But it just, like, smooths out nicely. And, I mean, I feel like this is a palette you could play with your fingers with or use a brush. But it's up to you on how you would like to use it. But it blends out really nicely. You can see my scratches on my hand. But I definitely think, like, that would work for some skin tones, obviously not all. I would never suggest that it would do that. But I think it's something that, I think it's supposed to be, it's going to be an Ulta. I think, is it already in there? It could be. I haven't worked much, to be fair. It could already be there. I would suggest going in and the testers and looking at it. But I think you should do that with any palette because that's a lot of money to be throwing out, you know? Go and test it if you can. Because here's the thing. If you buy it and you don't like it, you're either stuck with a palette you don't like, or you return it to get your money back, which obviously so because it's a lot of money, but then it gets destroyed. So it's up to you on how you want to go about that. But we're going to use the Too Faced Ribbon Wrapped Lashes. I kind of been liking it in a way. I think that it's great for separation. And it does give me a little bit of length. I don't know about volume. I believe this is a tubing mascara too. At least it doesn't smudge on me, so that's something. And it doesn't flake. I also did not get any fallout from those shades from the palette, which is nice. Very little kick up, but there was kick up, so that's why I was talking about maybe the powder would get into those creams. But I believe if you're careful enough, you probably would be okay. I thought about putting a piece of saran wrap down over the creams to maybe help save it a little bit. Especially for, like, if I'm going to be sitting there a while with it open, because I don't want them to dry out. But I've had their face palette, the shape, I don't know if you all remember it. It's kind of like that. It had creams in it for, like, sculpting the face. I still have it, I think. And it's still not dried out. I mean, I don't use it. I mean, it still might be good. It might not have a smell to it, but I know it's old. But I don't know, like, I know it's still not dried out because I came across it, well, months ago, but at that point I still had it for years, you know what I mean? So I don't think I really put any mascara on the bottom lashes, so I'm just going to put a little bit on the corner here. Maybe a little bit in, maybe like a third of the eye. And then a third, and then a little more than a third. Let me go on this side and do a little more than a third. There we go. And the wand is nice because it does have, like, the little ball with the little, you know, to pick it apart almost. I do like it. It's not my favorite. It's not going to, like, help hold the curl or anything like that, which I forgot to curl my lashes, but that's beside the point too. But again, it doesn't flake, it doesn't smudge, so that's half the battle for me. Because generally I get the transfer, you know, up at my eyebrows sometimes because I have such hooded eyes. But overall, I think it's a really pretty look. Can you create this look? Probably, with other palettes in your collection. But I do want to give it to that it is a little, and when I say little, I mean microscopic difference. Because they are giving us formulas, just not color change. But maybe that is to come. Maybe they're seeing how this goes and then comes the color. Because I kind of like to see that in color waves, especially with the creams, because we don't see that very often. So, or at least I don't. Again, indie brands are probably all over that, where I'm just in mainstream for the most part now. I don't really get time to do anything else other than work. I wish I had time to play a little more. And like I said, that shade really does, the creams are really easy to play with and manipulate. So if you like creams, and maybe that's a way to get introduced to creams too. Now, I've always used, to me, the MAC paint pots and Painterly and Ochre, and I mean, there's so many of them now. But for one, you're spending 20 bucks, you know, at least. Which, don't get me wrong, they're worth it. If that's the only thing you need it for, is to cover your lid. Like, it covers. And I've had mine for years. Now, they still don't smell, so I'm going to assume they're still good. As long as they don't smell, I feel like they're still good, right? But you can see that I've had it for a long time, and it is starting to crack and stuff. This one is soft ochre, and they're good too, you know. I think I kind of like having that, because especially like if I was going somewhere, because like it's all in one, so that could be an option. And again, this very well may be for someone who is practicing makeup, a makeup artist, and not necessarily someone like myself who's just doing my makeup to do my makeup. But it can be used for someone like me who's just doing their makeup. And I do think that the look turned out really, really pretty. It's very soft, very elegant, very everyday, I would say, type of look. But let me know your thoughts, and I will get a video up with more, and we'll see how I look in it. I am curious about it nonetheless. But yeah, as far as the kohl, I'm glad I purchased it. So there's that. But then again, there's not very many things that I'm not glad I bought, but I'm starting to get a little pickier, to be fair, because there are some things lately that I'm like, why did I do that? And I end up giving it to my grandkids. So there's that. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this collection, and I will get the warm palette up as soon as I can. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped in some way. And it should launch, and go check it out in stores. Definitely test before you purchase. And I will see you in the next one. Oh, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell, hit all. That way you're notified when I do upload. That way you can catch the warm palette. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.